Everyone, this is Karen Berry. I am an instruction librarian in McConnell Library, although at the moment I am not at McConnell Library. So first of all, I just wanted to thank you all for your patience with myself and Dr. Smith as we are working to get your class going again online and hopefully running as smoothly as possible. So the last time that we met, we went over a number of things that I will review here briefly before I go over some new information. So, review from last time. If you go to our library website, library.radford.edu is how you can access it. We're first going to go to the LibGuide that I put together for this class. So, if you mouse over instruction and then click on Course Guides, LibGuides, it will take you to a page that looks like this. So we have our guides organized by subject, but over here on the right, I want to just reiterate what Dr. Smith emailed you all about, and that is that we put together an online resources for students guide. So this will be helpful for you as you're continuing your classes online for the time being. So here we have tabs about how to do background research, how to find and save sources through SuperSearch, how to use our databases, Google Scholar, basic and advanced research skills, and also we have links to the library's D2L modules that you can complete for credit in this class. So just keep in mind that that's there for you to use. Going back to LibGuides by subject, I'm going to scroll down to criminal justice and click on the guide for your class. So I have similar tabs here to help you with your research for criminal justice 385. So, but I tried to make them a little more focused on criminal justice research. So last time we focused mostly on the finding articles and books tab, which gives you access to databases that you'll find useful in hunting down articles and other sources on your topic. There's also the background research tab that is more general. We have a tab on scholarly articles and what those are, how you can tell if something is a scholarly article, as well as primary source scholarly articles, so those primary studies. And then also connecting your sources, which I believe my colleague Alyssa Archer went over in the video that you all should have access to now. So this will help you to synthesize your sources. Of course, you're not doing a research paper, you're doing a literature review, but the synthesis aspect is still relevant. So also I wanted to remind you that the worksheet that we used last class should still be helpful for you as you've gotten started on and continue to work on your literature review project. If you've lost your worksheet, if it's still on campus, or if you would just like an electronic copy of it, please feel free to send me an email and I can give you that. So I hope that by now you all have a solid idea of what your research topic and question are going to be. If so, you will likely have a good idea of some keywords and synonyms that you can use to search the library's databases for sources on your topic. Remember that once you've found a good source, you can take a look at that bibliography and mine it for additional sources, as the author of that article likely cited some high quality studies that will be useful for you. Additionally, some databases provide a way to look at articles and other sources that cited your source after it was published. So this is sometimes called cited by or journal citation reports, that kind of thing. So hopefully that quick review was helpful for you. I'd like to move on now to discuss literature reviews more specifically. So you see here, I added a literature review tab to your guide. We click on that, it takes us to a separate full LibGuide all about literature reviews, what they are and how to write them. So taking a look at this first tab, a literature review is a compilation of the research currently being done on a particular topic, discussing recent trends in the research area and the different sides of the argument that have historically been taken. As discussed in Alyssa Archer's videos that you have hopefully already watched, it synthesizes the ideas of others' arguments. It compares and contrasts the different ideas that you've identified and presents them all in one place. Remember, it's not just an annotated bibliography. It's not just a quick summary. You really need to use your own original analysis and bring your own ideas to make sense of the sources that you found. It's also not a literature criticism, although you do need to do some, look at it with a critical eye, but we'll get to more on that later. So we also have a video here about lit reviews that might be helpful. And you will also notice that over here on the right-hand side, my colleague Jennifer, who put together this guide, cited her sources. So here we have links to 3 other university libraries' websites, and specifically their LibGuides about literature reviews. Feel free to use those in addition to ours. The University of West Florida guide might be particularly useful for you since it contains sample literature reviews that you can take a look at, and that'll give you an idea of what they should look like. So for a literature review, you need to have a clear idea of what your research question is, a thorough understanding of the available resources on your topic, and a plan for how you'll structure your review and what order your ideas will be presented in. So first, we're going to take a look at the Planning a Lit Review page, which should be able to help you with this. So remember that it's important to take copious notes as you read through your sources so that you're better able to keep track of which authors took which stances, where you found certain arguments and ideas, etc., so that you can go back and cite them as you use them, and again, keep track. So this page of the guide will give you some ideas of the kinds of information you should be keeping track of, what questions and things you should consider as you're working on your literature review. So here's some information on defining your research question, more of that information to keep track of as you are reading your sources, and then a list of really helpful questions to consider. Moving on to the structure tab. So as with many of the other types of papers that you've probably written up to this point, literature review should consist of an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, which also discusses recommendations for further research. So the bulk of your paper, the largest section of it, will of course be the body, and that's where you'll be analyzing the information that you found. There are different ways to organize this information. So if we scroll down a little more, we see chronological order. So that's where you look at sources over a period of time and how one study might have affected another or brought about another. This can be helpful if you're looking at many sources over a large period of time, but even if you're looking at them from just a shorter period of time, it's still helpful to see who said what first and that kind of thing. You can also organize them thematically. So you might find that the authors that you're looking at fall into different schools of thought. So you can organize your paper in that way. And then there's also methodological. So it differs from the others by really just focusing on what methods the authors use to do the study. So just a few ways that you can organize it that might be helpful and might be a good way for you to think about your sources as you're reading them. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll see some synthesis matrices. So these are similar to the one that Alyssa mentioned in her video. They're kind of structured a little differently. So remember that if we go back to your class guide, under in-class exercises, there is the source synthesis grid. So take a look at that. Also take a look at the ones in the literature review LibGuide. See what works for you. If none of it works for you, that's fine too. So going back up, this guide also includes tabs for each of the citation styles. So we have APA, and of course that's what you'll be using for this class, but you might have to write literature reviews in other classes that will require you to use MLA or Chicago. So we have those tabs as well. So in addition to the literature review LibGuide that is linked in your course guide, I also added a document that I got from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. So that is also located in the in-class exercise tab. This bottom box here, it's the difference between good and bad literature reviews. This document puts side by side the different aspects of a good versus bad literature review, which should help you kind of get into the mindset of writing a high quality lit review. A lot of this reviews what I've discussed earlier, but let's walk through it anyway and kind of review. So first, the review should be organized around a coherent set of questions. You need to remember what the focus of your literature review is going to be and not get off task. Of course, there might be kind of sub-issues within your topic that you'll need to address, but sticking mostly to that research question is going to be very helpful. While you're likely to want to focus on recent literature for the majority of your review, you should not forget to include landmark studies that are related to your topic and that were really important when they were published. For some of you, this could be something, you know, from the 1950s that was really important and changed things. For others of you, you might be looking at a topic that has only been studied more recently. And if that's the case, there could still be landmark studies that have come out recently. So the big thing is just make sure that you're not missing anything important. So searching all of those databases will help you with that to hopefully find everything you need. You may not be an expert on your topic yet, but you should feel comfortable looking at your sources with a critical eye. All authors have biases, as well as, you know, they might have missed something in their study. There could be gaps or flaws in their research. So you need to make sure that you recognize these and kind of call them out when it's important, you know, when it's relevant to do so. Also, talking about relevance, you do have the option to use illustrations, graphs, charts, that kind of thing that might have been used in your sources. That can sometimes back up your argument a little more. Just remember, if you include anything like that, you need to make sure you cite it. In the end, the point of a literature review is to summarize what research has been done in your topic area, which should then make it easy to describe what research still needs to be done. While you may feel like you've found exhaustive information on your topic, there's almost always something else that needs to be studied. One way you could think about this is, are there different populations that could be studied that haven't been yet? For example, people of different races, genders, ethnicities, sexual orientations, ages, professions, geographic areas, all kinds of things. That's just one different avenue the research could take. Again, don't downplay the importance of chronology. Good literature review puts studies into the context of other studies, as well as local, national, global trends and events and that kind of thing. So don't forget about, even if you're organizing your review methodologically, for example, don't forget to still keep the chronology of everything as a discussion point within your literature review. Finally, some of the last few points here should go without saying, but I will say them anyway. Your literature review should flow nicely. It should be easy and interesting to read. It should follow correct citation and stylistic guidelines, and it should be presentable to readers other than yourself. So obviously, Dr. Smith should be able to read it and understand it. Your classmates, even me, who does not have a background in criminal justice, should at least be able to read it and make some kind of sense of it. So going back one more time to our guide for the class, over here, again, we have information for how you can reach out to us and contact us. Of course, this guide is going to be available through the end of the semester. And again, don't want to stress enough the guide that my colleagues and I put together about, moving forward online. Don't forget that that's there for you to use. I will be available to you remotely through the end of the semester. You can send me an email at kiberry@radford.edu, and that's berry as in the fruit, Berry. You can continue to use our Ask a Librarian chat. You can send me an email or send an email to the Research Help Desk. That address is here. The Research Help Desk will not be open. It's not being staffed because of the COVID-19 outbreak, but we are still diligently checking that email address. So that goes to not just myself, but some of my other librarian colleagues. If you'd prefer to talk face-to-face with me, you can make an appointment using Zoom. So just send me an email letting me know that you're interested in that, and I'll give you a link to schedule an appointment with me. If you need more writing or course-specific help, the Chubbs Writing Center and Harvey Knowledge Center are currently operating online by appointment only. You can visit their websites for more information though. All right, well, thank you again for watching this video. Make sure you are taking care of yourself, relax, everything's gonna be okay. And if you need any help with anything else, please feel free to reach out. Stay well.